What happens when enforcing the law stops being about justice and starts becoming a performance? In a heated Senate hearing, Senator Bill Hagerty and former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi put on a show that had less to do with solutions and everything to do with pushing fear. What began as a response to a single comment comparing ICE to a modern-day Gestapo quickly turned into a spectacle about riots, sanctuary cities, and even rising crime in Memphis. But behind all the tough talk, something was missing: the truth about ICE's abuses and the real cost of these policies. So was this accountability or just political theater? Let's break it down.
Thank you, Chairman Warren and Ranking Member Van Hollen. Thanks for holding this hearing. Welcome, General Bondi.
Thank you, Senator.
Good to see you. I want to raise with you something that's been deeply concerning to me, General Bondi. The 2024 Democrat nominee for Vice President actually called federal immigration agents Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo. This is dangerous for our agents, it's wrong, and it cuts against and it undercuts the rule of law. So I want to ask you a series of questions, General Bondi, and if you would accommodate me, I would appreciate it. First, you'll agree when a bill is passed by Congress and signed by the President, it's law, right?
Yes, Senator.
And until that law is changed by Congress, you have a duty to follow it, right? That's what the rule of law is.
Yes, Senator.
So let me read the law. We got it right here. On a warrant issued, in this case by the Secretary of Homeland Security, an alien may be arrested and detained pending a decision on whether the alien is to be removed from the United States. That's the law, isn't it? The law on the books passed by Congress that you have to follow, correct?
Yes, Senator.
Isn't it also the law that once an alien is ordered removed, quote, during the removal period, the Secretary of Homeland Security, again, shall detain the alien? Is that the law?
It's correct, Senator.
It doesn't say illegal aliens ordered removed should be allowed to roam the country freely, does it?
No, Senator.
I know it doesn't. Here's another law. When an alien is ordered removed, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall remove the alien from the United States. Is there any ambiguity in these words?
No, Senator.
So ICE agents enforcing those laws aren't the Gestapo. They're supporting the rule of law, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Is it a crime to obstruct federal agents?
Yes, Senator.
There are left-wing radicals all over the country physically attacking ICE agents. There are sanctuary cities that are interfering with law enforcement. How does the Department of Justice plan to hold those seeking to harm and obstruct federal agents? How do you hold them accountable?
Senator, I believe you've seen what we've been doing during the Los Angeles riots. We came in, if you spit on a law enforcement officer, no longer. We will charge you federally. If you loot a building, we will charge you with robbery under the Hobbs Act. All these people coming in, looting these businesses. They just called it looting and let them run out the door. No longer. You touch a law enforcement officer, we will identify you. We have great technology now. And those people are the ones who have really been wearing the mask and trying to cover their identities. We've been finding them. We have been charging them with assault on a federal officer, and there will be no offers and no negotiations.
Well, think about it. A federal facility, an ICE facility, was under siege in Los Angeles. I mean, certainly, you and the President weren't going to stand by, were you?
Absolutely not.
No, I appreciate that. I'm grateful to you and to President Trump for upholding the rule of law in this case. I want to finish by revisiting a conversation you and I had back during your nomination, because I very much appreciated that. And it has to do with my home state, the city of Memphis, your commitment to come and see us in Memphis to deal with the fact that we've had rising crime. This is a problem across the country. But I'd like to ask your commitment again, General, to deploy law enforcement resources, particularly prosecutorial resources in Tennessee as they're needed.
I know you deeply care about Tennessee and the crime in Memphis and throughout your state, and you have called me numerous times to talk about that, and you care about our U.S. attorneys there, and I welcome talking to both sides of the aisle, working with you on any matters regarding law enforcement. But yes, you care deeply about the citizens of your state, as well as Senator Blackburn, and thank you both for caring so much and your input on our U.S. attorney there.
Thank you, General Bondi, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my home state sometime very soon.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Capito.
The hearing opened with what seemed like a serious concern. Senator Hagerty framed the session around defending law enforcement, specifically federal immigration agents, against what he claimed was inflammatory rhetoric. He jumped on a remark made by Tim Walz, the Democratic nominee for vice president, who had once referred to ICE as Trump's modern-day Gestapo. That single comment became the centerpiece of the discussion, overshadowing any chance at a real debate about immigration policy or law enforcement accountability. Haggerty used the opportunity to grill Pam Bondi, setting her up with leading questions designed to paint ICE as nothing more than faithful enforcers of the law. One by one he read out sections of federal immigration statutes, lines about detention, deportation, and the duty of Homeland Security to carry out removals. Bondi in lockstep confirmed each one. Yes, the law authorizes detention. Yes, the law requires deportation. Yes, ICE is simply doing its job. It was a carefully rehearsed back and forth that left no room for nuance. On the surface it sounded airtight, laws passed by Congress, signed by the President, and enforced by ICE, but what was left unsaid was just as important. There was no mention of wrongful detentions, no mention of families torn apart, no mention of the countless reports of abuse, overreach, or violations of human rights. The so-called defense of the rule of law conveniently erased the human cost of how those laws are enforced. Instead, the hearing framed criticism of ICE as reckless, dangerous, and even anti-American. Then came the pivot. To drive home the point about law and order, Bondi shifted to a story from the Los Angeles riots. She painted a picture of chaos, looters running free, protesters clashing with police, and federal officers under attack. But this time, she said, things were different. If you spit on an officer, you'd face federal charges. If you looted a building, you'd be charged with robbery under the Hobbs Act. Assaulting a federal officer, no deals, no negotiations. Technology, she added, made it easier than ever to unmask offenders who thought they could hide behind masks. This wasn't just about enforcing laws, it was about sending a message of toughness. The language was deliberately blunt, designed to stoke fear. By linking riots and looting to federal immigration enforcement, Bondi was tying local unrest to the bigger narrative of ICE under siege. It didn't matter that the issues were separate. What mattered was the image: law enforcement under attack, critics fueling chaos, and the federal government as the last line of defense. Haggerty reinforced this framing, pointing to an ICE facility that had come under siege during the unrest. He treated the facility as though it were a military base under attack, rather than an agency building facing protest. The imagery was clear: ICE agents weren't just employees, they were soldiers, and any criticism of them was equivalent to siding with rioters. It was a rhetorical sleight of hand that made questioning ICE seem dangerous, even unpatriotic. Then, in a calculated shift, Haggerty moved the conversation to his home state of Tennessee. He raised concerns about rising crime in Memphis, pressing Bondi to commit federal prosecutorial resources to address the issue. The connection to ICE was tenuous at best, but it served his purpose. By tying immigration enforcement, riots, and local crime together, Haggerty created a narrative that made federal crackdowns look like the universal solution. Bondi, unsurprisingly, agreed wholeheartedly. She praised Haggerty's commitment to Tennessee, reaffirmed her support for law enforcement, and promised collaboration. Yet again, there was no discussion of the deeper issues driving crime: systemic poverty, lack of opportunity, and flaws in the justice system. Instead, the solution was always the same: more federal resources, tougher enforcement, and harsher penalties. When you step back and look at the hearing as a whole, the strategy becomes obvious. This wasn't about finding solutions. It wasn't about weighing the human cost of immigration policy or addressing the failures of enforcement. It was about staging a performance. Every exchange was designed to reinforce a narrative: ICE is lawful and heroic, critics are reckless and dangerous, and only tough crackdowns can keep America safe. Sanctuary cities were painted as havens of lawlessness, portrayed as places where chaos thrives because local governments refuse to cooperate with ICE. Protesters were depicted not as people raising legitimate concerns but as radicals out to destroy public order. And every critique of ICE was reframed as an attack on the rule of law itself. This is the playbook of political theater. Take a real issue, immigration enforcement, and strip it of its complexity. Replace it with simple images of heroes and villains, order and chaos. Use inflammatory language to shut down debate. And position yourself as the one defending safety and law while painting opponents as threats. It's a strategy that worked throughout the Trump years, and clearly, it's not going anywhere. What makes this so powerful is how it shapes public perception. When hearings like this dominate the headlines, people are left with a distorted view that criticizing ICE means opposing law enforcement entirely, that sanctuary policies equal chaos, and that only harsher federal crackdowns can solve crime. The real issues like wrongful detentions, family trauma, and unchecked abuses get pushed out of the conversation, and make no mistake, this strategy isn't just about one hearing, it's about setting the tone for the political battles to come. As elections approach, expect more of these staged hearings, more fiery rhetoric, and more efforts to weaponize immigration enforcement as a campaign tool. Every performance like this one builds a narrative that makes expanding federal power not just acceptable but necessary in the eyes of supporters. So was this really about protecting the rule of law, or was it about building a political stage where defending ICE equals defending America, and questioning ICE equals chaos? The answer seems clear. This wasn't accountability, it was theater. A performance crafted to distract from ICE's failures and the human suffering tied to its policies, while painting critics as enemies of law and order. And there it is. A Senate hearing framed as oversight, but really used as a platform to push fear, sidestep responsibility, and justify harsher enforcement. Pam Bondi and Senator Hagerty weren't debating solutions, they were playing roles in a script designed to protect ICE at all costs. The question is, do we buy into the performance, or do we demand the conversation that was ignored? What do you think? Was this hearing a genuine defense of law enforcement, or was it just political theater designed to push fear and expand federal power? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, I want to hear your take. And if this breakdown helped cut through the noise, hit the like button so more people see what's really happening. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.